Let's be honest at this point. Halo has become one of the most influential franchises for its time back in the day. It represented the highlights of what the first person shooter market had to offer, and it left behind a legacy that was brilliant. At least that's what I wish it was. The modern Halo games have went through the issue of failing to recapture what the Halo franchise was so great for, and due to it, Halo has continuously suffered for it. And right now, I want to discuss with you in the sense, is Halo dead? Is it doomed to fail? And, well, can Halo be saved? And generally, that's a really principal question. Like, people say, well, Orange, Halo can't isn't dead. Like, it still sells, and Microsoft still advertises it, and there's a little, and there's still people that play and stuff. But technically, what you say is correct. But look at the cost that the modern Halo games have went through, where Halo is no longer on the top. It's not even close to the top. I think it's like 22nd place on Xbox now. I've practically left the game, and quite literally, Halo 5 has been regarded that it might have been the least selling Halo game across Halo history. And, well, that's the reality we live in now, when we are literally on our last legs for the franchise. We're not even in a position to really say it's like good for the series anymore. And we question to ourselves, why is this series failing? Well, there's a few things. The first one is 343's absolute refusal to ever go back to Halo's old style of gameplay. Now, like it or hate it, but it's been proven pretty much that this new gameplay has made Halo worse. It's made it where pretty much Halo has been left to be closer to other games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and Timefall, rather than actually being its own entity, its own thing. And due to that, it's been to the point now where Halo honestly hasn't even felt like Halo within its recent years. We haven't had a fully full-fledged traditional Halo game since in 10 years. Yeah, that's right, people. Halo 3, the last traditional Halo game. And, well, that was over 10 years ago. And ever since then, the formula has either been tweaked or completely rebuilt altogether, to the point now with Halo 5 where I can't even argue with people when they say that this doesn't feel like a Halo game, because it doesn't. It doesn't feel like it. Now, I don't think just because it doesn't feel like a Halo game doesn't mean, like, just because it doesn't feel like a Halo game, though, it doesn't instantly make it like something else. But even with that, like, it doesn't change the fact that it's like comparing like a taco restaurant versus like an Italian food restaurant or something like that. Like, if one restaurant came in and like it took away the restaurant that you already liked, it's like it doesn't matter if that restaurant makes the best taco type food if it's a replacement with the Italian food that we already love. And I'm just using that as an example. The same thing applies with the Halo games. This new formula could be the greatest formula on earth, but it isn't the same as the formula that people want. The same thing that we have been having. The same thing that we've had for so long and we've cherished. And right now, it's to that point where Halo has continuously, to this day, been in a gradual decline within the series because of the fact that while this new enhanced mobility gameplay isn't bad, it's not, first off, it's not what the industry wants, and not only that, but it's suffering the issue where it's not being original. It's not fitting in with anything that's new or exciting. There are plenty of games on my shelf that have been using these enhanced mobility systems. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Timefall 1 and 2, Destiny, etc. These games are just the examples of the ones I have that contain this kind of enhanced mobility. And it's to this point now where it's damaging the longevity of the series. Next issue with the series that's transpiring is honestly the fact that Halo is to the point now where it can't even deliver to these new types of fans if it keeps going through a severe lack of content, a lack of innovation, and a lack of any true features. I don't care as much if you change up the gameplay and all that. Do I like it? No. But there are some that do. And you know what? Fine. If you're going to appeal to that, if you're so convinced that your general gameplay is the way Halo should go, then don't let people like us stop you as far as right now. Alright? Until it's to that point where the gameplay's the only thing we can blame for Halo's decline, then we don't know if that's the reason why Halo's going downhill. Not completely. I just have to go with what I think. But that doesn't change the fact, though, that I could be wrong. But let's do things that are absolutely the truth of why Halo's going downhill. It's lacking content. It's lacking the key features that made it great in the first place. It generally is going through a huge issue right now with its campaigns. And not only that, but Halo, if it's going to keep the direction that it's going in, it's going to need a lot of revamps in order to revive the series. Now, Halo 6 at this point is at a position where it's pretty much a 50-50 chance if they will keep the Spartan abilities. And honestly, I actually think 343 will end up doing it. Sadly. As much as I don't want that, Halo 5 was represented by 343 to be laid as the groundwork for every Halo game going forward. And no, I don't mean they're going to make every game a carbon copy of Halo 5. I'm saying that the general principle of what Halo 5 set up will be followed up in later games. And with that, every game following Halo 5, as far as what 343 wants, is going to be based off Halo 5 in some shape or manner. And with that, personally, I think it's a really poor direction for the series. I don't think the new mechanics will work, but I could be wrong. But even with that, it doesn't... If Halo is to survive, if it's to be in a state of full-fledged glory, alright, we can begin our gameplay civil war and all that all we want, alright? And yes, I'm aware, I am completely aware of the people that have been with Halo longer than I have that want it to go back. And yes, I understand that and I agree with that. But generally, the only reason I'm not getting furious about this matter is because, guys, we need to be honest with ourselves. If we're at this point where 343 is doubting to take away these things, then let's at least make what is there good. Let's at least help make what is in there the best possible type of game it can be, even if it doesn't align with the Halo game that we want. Why? Not only does it benefit us by, having the best type of game possible, but it also allows us to truly observe if the gameplay is the problem or of what's surrounding it. Because generally speaking, Halo 5 had many reasons why it failed. And generally, I think, honestly, out of all these reasons, the mobility was probably the least of the problem. Because let's look at the main problems that Halo 5 had. It lacked content, its single player was terrible, it had a lack of community features till after launch, it lacked game modes, it lacked maps, it got repetitive insanely quickly, it was overly consumed by the rec system, and Not only that, but it all came into the fact that you couldn't even experience the game locally with friends because there was no split screen in the game, a staple that Halo has been known for years. And as well as that, these are the certain things that Halo are dying for. And the community is in a position right now where, let's be honest, the only reason we gave the gameplay a praise within Halo 5 isn't because the gameplay is actually like really special or anything. Don't get me wrong, it's well polished, it's well designed. But that doesn't mean it's like overly flawless. That doesn't mean it's innovative. It just means that it's well good. And yes, while Halo 5 can argue that it's all innovative with its combined nature of enhanced mobility with the arena combat, that doesn't make it an innovative game. It doesn't. And with that, the gameplay, while good, is unremarkable. But I personally believe that people were praising the gameplay because they just wanted something positive to talk about. You know, they wanted... It's in people's psychology to basically find something equally good to measure out the bad. That way you just don't sound like a whiny little you-know-what. And generally, that's probably what we're in right now. It's like, oh my gosh, the single player sucks. The multiplayer lacks content. The rec system sucks. This sucks. This sucks. This sucks. That sucks. But oh my gosh, this gameplay, it's not bad, so it must be like really good. Like it must be the saving grace of the game. Otherwise, I wouldn't be playing it anymore. And that's the position we're in right now. That is the case. And is Halo 5's gameplay the saving grace of the game? Honestly, yes, it is. But that's only because it's the one thing in the game that isn't complete crap. I would argue that if Halo 5 launched with everything that it needed and had every single thing required, the story was good and all that, generally in the long run, I still think the game would fail. Why? Because that gameplay, while good, is nothing remarkable. And with that, it's nothing that the shooter industry hasn't already seen. And it only adds to the divide the Halo community has. First it was armor abilities, then it was permanent sprint, and now it's with enhanced mobility that's stuck with the player and literally changes the formula to the point where one can argue it's not even a Halo game by nature anymore. Like, it may have the Halo name, some of the Halo references, and maybe keep a little bit of the art style, but that doesn't make it a Halo game at heart, and that's what people are arguing nowadays. And that's what we need to fix. If Halo is to be saved coming forward, it needs to begin to feel like a Halo game again, and even if it doesn't do that, it needs to at least have the spirit of a Halo game as far as content, as far as having the community features that it needs, because not only does this benefit us by giving the new fans, you know, a Halo game that's actually worthy of their system that they like, it allows us to truly determine whether or not the gameplay is the problem. Because, let's be honest, guys, if Halo does have all the community features, has all the content, a good campaign, split screen, all that, and it innovates in a couple of areas that are really nice, and it keeps the enhanced mobility, but then the game does real well, and people start talking about Halo again, and it propels Halo back at the top, then at that point, there's no reason for us to complain after that. Because at that point, if that happens, like it or not, 343 won't need us anymore. If that happens, they won't need the old fans anymore. Because there'll be enough of a new community to grow that can allow Halo to thrive in that way. Now, the reason why I state this is because we need to understand that we want Halo to be successful. There are some people crying out within, almost in an angered manner, where they want the game to fail. That they want 343 to fail trying. And in some ways, they just do it because they just want to prove that the old formula would be better and all that stuff. But this is a really bad way of thinking. Alright? We don't want Halo to fail. Alright, we can judge by likelihood, because yes, I judge by likelihood that until Halo goes back to its old formula, it will continue to not do as well as it could have been if it did go back to its old formula and its old style of gameplay and the old way that Halos were run. And no, that doesn't mean I just want a Halo 3.5. I want a Halo game that takes the formula of Halo 3 and does something new with the game surrounding it, with the interactions. And generally, that is the position we're in right now. Halo is dying because of two reasons. Both because of a lack of features, a lack of content, and with that, it turned people away from it when it was fresh and new, as well as that the community is going through a major civil war in the market. Now, how can we fix this? Well, simply put, guys, whether we like it or not, if the gameplay of Halo 5 is to return in Halo 6, we need to give it our support, at least initially. At least till the game releases, because generally speaking, trashing the game and damaging the reputation of it just because it doesn't align with what we want is not going to fix this series. Not as of yet. In order for Halo to truly be fixed, we need to allow the best support of the game to be made, which means we don't complain about things like if the gameplay doesn't feel like Halo. We complain if it lacks the features. We complain if it lacks the community features, the content, or just maybe the single-player story. But aside from that, in order for this franchise to once again rise to the top, we need to give it a support that allows an ideal version of this new Halo game to be made. Because, like I said, if it's successful, then the community won't need us anymore. Then it won't need us to be there. And because Halo will become special for a different reason. But if it fails, then 343 will have nothing else to blame, and that's when we propose the idea, hey, you've literally tried this, you've literally had every feature that's needed content-wise, but your game still failed. Maybe because of the enhanced mobility, and maybe because it's time we go back to the old formula. You know, like, that is in general how Halo is going to be fixed. It's not going to be fixed with a backlash that keeps this community in a civil war. Because if we fail to give any type of support to the game, then all we're doing is creating animosity between ourselves and the new community. And I'm not going to say try to compromise our ideals to satisfy people. That's not what I want. You can still stand for what you want, but don't do things that end up compromising the general longevity of the series until we know what's actually wrong with it. Because while, yes, I personally and many personally believe that the gameplay is one of the issues, it might not be. It might not. And until then, we need to help 343 make the ideal Halo game that they want under their vision, because then we'll know if it's actually the vision that's the issue or the execution. And that's the question that can ultimately fix or not fix this series. What is the problem with 343 with these modern Halo games? Is it the idea? Is it the ideal the ideal vision? Or is it the execution? Is it the execution that they've just failed to make what they fully want because, just reasons, just because Halo 4 and 5 just were going through such issues? Or, like I said, if they make all the community features, all the things that are surrounding the game that people want, and then it still fails, then we know that it's the vision that's the problem and not the execution. And then that's when, at that point, they will have no choice but to go back to the old roots and make a Halo game that's true and faithful as a Halo game and is everything that people want. Until then, guys, that wraps up this video. I will probably be making a follow-up video to this, and hopefully it will do well. I'm sorry that I stutter a lot today, guys. It's just I've been going through a minor cold, and also it's just been a while since I've done videos, so until then, I will be preparing to make my next video, and until then, guys, this is Dumb Orange 927, and I will see you next time. Peace.